Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Skip Allen, and you are watching the Top 5 Weekly. This week, in honor of the third film in the Bridget Jones trilogy, Bridget Jones Baby, we are talking about Renee Zellweger. Bridget Jones. Renee Zellweger. So I have my panelists here. Andrew Cabral, introduce yourself, Andrew.
Hello, I'm Andrew, and I'm here for the fifth time talking movies.
Robin Holder, she's the newest member of the crew today. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Robin. I am new here, and I'm excited.
We're excited to have you. And once again, another returning member of the Top 5 Weekly, Stephen Billings.
Hey everybody, Stephen Billings here, back again talking movies. Robin's also a film club member. She's been on my show, Film Club Movie Show, a couple times, and it's going to be fun doing this with everybody. And Robin, how you doing?
And Robin.
Hey, how you doing?
And sorry about the technical difficulties last week, and I want to thank Andrew and Stephen for finishing off the show. And Unforgiven was my number one Clint Eastwood directed film. And I come to find out Stephen picked it without even knowing what my number one was. That was a good guess on your part, Stephen.
I assumed.
Very good assumption on your part. All right, so like we always do, we go down our top 5 films based on the topic. Like I said, this week's topic is Renee Zellweger Films, and she had quite the body of work. So starting with Stephen, what is your number 5 Renee Zellweger film?
Wow. So just to let everybody know real quick, I was a last-minute replacement. So my list is really quickly put together, and didn't get to do a lot of research. But my number 5 is going to be a movie that I'm picking this movie more for the movie than kind of her part in it, unfortunately. It's Me, Myself, and Irene. It's one of the craziest, wackiest Jim Carrey films. And it just, she has to keep up with Jim Carrey, and that's really hard to do. And I saw some interviews with her talking about this, working with Jim Carrey, and said that it was just one of the craziest experiences she ever had. And she's got to have some acting ability to be able to keep up with him and his wackiness playing Hank, who's basically just this crazy, split personality that Jim Carrey plays in the movie. But I really liked their back and forth in the movie. She was really fun, and it's one of my favorite Jim Carrey films. But she's really good in it.
All right, before we go to Robin, I just want to say I forgot to do this, so this is my fault. Renee Catherine Zellweger is an American actress and producer. She has received critical acclaim and many accolades, including an Academy Award for Cold Mountain, a BAFTA Award, and 3 Golden Globe Awards, 3 Screen Actors Guild Awards. She is 47 years old, from America, and we know that she has quite the body of work. So now we're going to go back to Robin. I forgot that at the beginning. I'm supposed to do that every one of these, but I didn't do it. So now, Robin, you go with your number 5.
My number 5 is a little different from Steven's. It's one of her cartoon movies is Shark Tale. She was one of the voices in that movie, and I really like it. We used to watch it a lot when I worked at a daycare. So,
yeah, Shark Tale has a great cast with Will Smith, Robert De Niro. I mean, so many great actors are doing these voiceovers now. That's becoming like a big thing, that a lot of these actors are doing these voiceovers in animated films. And it makes for better movies when you hear you're famous. Oh, who's that? They're playing that character. And so that's part of going to see the animated films. All right, Andrew, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is a film we talked about in a previous episode, actually our first, when we did the boxing films, and that is Cinderella Man. I hadn't seen Cinderella Man when we did that episode, and I went and watched it, and I was really, really floored by the acting in that film, both from Russell Crowe and Renee Zellweger, who plays his wife, the wife of Jim Braddock. And their relationship is very interesting because they're going through very, very difficult times. You know, the Great Depression and not having money, and the kids are sick and starving. It's really a powerful, dramatic performance by both of those. It was really a nice kind of compliment to Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly's performance in A Beautiful Mind, which came out previously from Ron Howard.
Yeah, I love it how people are watching the show and they hear us talk about a movie, then they go back and watch that movie. In this case, Andrew's on the show and he learned about a film and he went back and watched it. So that is fantastic that you were able to take from Stephen and I when we talked about Cinderella Man and go back and watch that film, and then now you have respect for that. And of course, Renee Zellweger plays Jim Braddock's wife, like you said. I'm glad to hear that, Andrew. That's fantastic. Makes me proud. My number 5 is the film. I'm sure all y'all are going to have it on your number 2 or 3 or 1, but I have a problem with this film for my own personal reasons. But it's such an iconic Renee Zellweger performance and role in the movie as a whole. You know, you had me at hello. I mean, how can you not have that performance on the list? You had me at hello. I mean, what a great. She's fantastic. She's probably, in my opinion, I know people are arguing with me, but I believe she's the best part of the movie. Better than Tom Cruise, better than Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jerry Maguire, even though the title character is Jerry Maguire, that's Tom Cruise. I believe she's the best part of the whole movie because I don't really like Jerry Maguire that much, and I definitely don't like Cuba Gooding Jr. I don't care that you want me to show you the money. Shut the hell up is what I thought, Cuba Gooding Jr. I don't want to see the goddamn money, but I did like Renee Zellweger's character, and she was just so sweet. And so just her son, Jonathan Lipnicki, that's his name, Jonathan Lipnicki. Those two were fantastic in that movie, but I know a couple of y'all are going to have it probably at 1 or 2 or 3. I didn't like the film as much as you guys probably did, so I had Jerry Maguire at number 5.
You're weird. You're
I've never seen it.
You never saw it? Oh my God.
You almost killed me, Robin.
All right, Andrew.
Water.
Now, Andrew, she's going to have to take one from you because you got to see Cinderella Man by listening to Stephen and I talk. Now, Robin's going to have to go back and watch Jerry Maguire.
Okay.
All right. All right, Stephen, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is another kind of it's a very different role than she's ever really played, and it's in this Western from I think mid 2000s. It's called Appaloosa, and it stars Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen and Renee Zellweger. And basically, she plays this like widower that strolls into town, and this town. Basically, Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen's characters are trying to get the criminal element out of this town, and basically she strolls in and kind of like disrupts things between the two main characters. She starts seeing Ed Harris's character, and then come to find out she's been kind of sleeping around the whole town. She's kind of plays a sleazy character in the movie, which is why I say she's playing a very different character than she usually plays. Usually plays very likable characters. But in this movie, she played a very kind of sleazy character that kind of disrupted our two main characters. And I thought it was an interesting role that she played there, and a very good Western film if you have not seen it. Ed Harris directs it, and Viggo Mortensen's spectacular in the movie, so check that out.
All right, Robin, what is your number 4?
It's another animated feature film. It's Monsters vs. Aliens.
I love that. Oh, I love that film.
It's so good. And even like the Halloween shorts they've done have been really good.
Yeah.
So,
right. What's her character in Monsters vs. Aliens?
she is, hang on and I can tell you.
That's
Katie.
what's it
She's
called?
Katie.
Sadie?
Katie.
Katie.
That's what it says.
All right. That's fine. Yeah, that is a good movie. I'm surprised they haven't done sequels to that. That's so weird. But, all right, Andrew, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Chicago. Chicago, directed by Rob Marshall, came out in 2002. Won Best Picture, still one of the surprises to me for winning Best Picture. But I went and watched it recently, and it's a good film. It's a musical, but like with a darker plot and darker tone to it. But I thought she was really, really good in it, as well as Catherine Zeta-Jones and John C. Reilly, who really surprises me when you go back and watch his more dramatic roles. He's a great actor, but Renee Zellweger is very, very good in it.
Yeah, that movie, Andrew, is one of the movies I just cannot stand. That won Best Picture. I just don't get it. I just never cared for that movie. I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry.
That's okay, because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and to this day, I want the Two Towers to win.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, there was a few different upsets back in the early 2000s. You know, The Pianist, Crash, Chicago. There was some arguments going on with
Oscars were on crack in the early 2000s. They were on crack.
But another one that I'm sure a bunch of you guys will probably have at number 1 or number 2, in honor of Bridget Jones' Baby, which is why we're doing this episode of Top 5. I'm going to put the original Bridget Jones Diary, and I wanted to pick one of the 3, and obviously we're doing this in honor of part 3, so I couldn't pick that one. And I thought of 1 and 2, 1 was the stronger film, and of course, you know, you had Hugh Grant and Colin Firth, Mr. Darcy, and these guys. I mean, I don't know what it is about Renee Zellweger. They think that they need to put her in these roles where she's in between 2 guys, where 2 guys are always fighting over her all the time. And it's like, all right, she's cool, she's funny, she's interesting, she's quirky. But I don't know if 2 guys should always be fighting over her. But I really, really, really enjoyed Bridget Jones' Diary. You know, I showed it earlier before the show started. You can see that there's my copy of Bridget Jones' Diary right there.
Nice copy, buddy.
So yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. She's just got this quirkiness to her in these films that is not a lot of actresses can do this. You know what she does in her films, and that's what I kind of like about Renee Zellweger. And I really wanted to do this top 5 because of that. So that's Bridget Jones' Diary is my number 4. Now we're going to go into our very first time we ever saw a Renee Zellweger film. Steven?
That's tough. It's probably Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire is just one of them films that I caught early in my life that I really loved, and it got me into Cameron Crowe, who's the writer-director, and it's probably, I would say that's the first time I caught her.
All right, Robin?
That would probably be Myself and Irene. I think that's the first time I saw her, like, in anything.
And
actually, I got to go see that at the theater too.
Andrew?
Jerry Maguire as well. I remember probably watching it probably right after it came out, not in the theaters because I was still kind of young, but probably when they aired it on TV a year or so after it came out. So definitely Jerry Maguire.
And I'm going to be the third one on this list that said Jerry Maguire because that's the one that really comes to mind that I remember seeing her in. And I'm sure I've seen her. I went back and saw her in other movies that she was in years before, like Empire Records and stuff like that. But, yep, Jerry Maguire was the first movie I remember seeing her in. All right, so we're going to go to number 3. Steven, what is your number 3 Renee Zellweger film?
Well, let's just go around the horn with this again. Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire is my number 3. This film completes me. Another line from this movie. There's 3 iconic lines from this movie. There's not many movies that can say that. You had me at hello, show me the money, and you complete me. And her in this film, the one thing about this film that is really with her performance is it really looks at a woman who's a single mother and goes through everything that a single mother has to do. And in this instance, finding love when you're a single mother. And I've seen it firsthand, single mothers that I'm friends with trying to find love. It's tough. And it's tough to trust a man with your son and your, stuff like that. And it's, it really gets into that, a lot. And I thought that she does a really good job of playing that not trusting, but really wanting to trust because she wants to. And it's, she does really well in the movie and does that quirkiness and plays the comedy moments and plays the emotional moments when she needs to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew having mine at 5 wasn't going to be the last we heard of Jerry Maguire. So, I mean, 3 makes sense for me. All right, Robin, go ahead.
My 3 is going to be Me, Myself, and Irene, because I still love that movie. I watched it probably 3 or 4 months ago, and it's still hilarious to me. Jim Carrey is always awesome, and I think she did a really good job playing off of him. Because like you said earlier, Stephen, that's hard to keep up with Jim Carrey, but she, I think, did a pretty good job.
And Jim Carrey just owns whatever role he's in, and most of the women that play opposite him are just basically following his lead. And she just followed his lead in Me, Myself, and Irene. He was playing a character with multiple personality disorders. It was just out there for that movie, and he was like some crazy characters in that movie. But all right, Andrew, what's your number?
My number 3 is Dan's number 4, Bridget Jones's Diary. I recently watched it, and I was really pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed the film. She is a very endearing character, and you can't just help but root for her and hope she comes out on top. Colin Firth is a great actor. Hugh Grant, in my opinion, his character is one of the most loathsome characters for me personally. But yeah, I really enjoyed the film, and it's really kind of a staple of her filmography. I think people will always remember her for being in Bridget Jones's Diary.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, you can't have a top 5 weekly on Renee Zellweger without having Bridget Jones' Diary in there. I would hope not. All right, so now we're going to go into our number 2. Oh, wait, I didn't do my number 3, did I? I think, 2 weeks ago I skipped one of mine by accident? I was so excited to get down the list, I skipped my own movie on one of ours. I'm going to do with a movie that a lot of people may not have heard of called Miss Potter. Renee Zellweger plays Beatrix Potter. She overcomes many obstacles in her quest to become a writer, including a domineering mother and a chauvinistic, father in the Victorian England age. She falls in love with her publisher, Norman Warren, played by Ewan McGregor, and his marriage proposal and subsequent tragedy change her life forever. Beatrice Potter, I mean, you may not know her, but you know what she wrote. She wrote all of the little Peter Rabbit and all those little stories along, the little frogs and rabbits and bunnies and all these little characters that have been sold thousands and thousands and thousands of books over the years in children's books. I mean, you probably read them or had people read them to you as a kid, the Peter Rabbit stories, and the author is Beatrix Potter. And I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed this movie. It's a movie that a lot of people probably haven't heard of, but she is really, once again, dealing with relationship, but she's doing it in this whole aspect of she's trying to be an author, and she's trying to be kind of a successful person. She doesn't need her rich family or some rich guy to marry her or anything like that. She is doing it with her own hand by drawing and painting these characters and then turning them into stories. And I wanted to put something different on the list, but something I really enjoyed, and so I put Mrs. Potter on the list. And hopefully maybe you guys will go out and see it if you haven't seen it yet. All right, so now we're going to number 2. Stephen, what's your number 2?
She's related to Harry Potter, right?
No, I knew you.
Okay. Just make sure. My number 2 is a film that, honestly, I have not seen it in a long time, but the reason I could put it on my list to say I could say something about it is because her performance in it is her best performance, probably, and that's Cold Mountain. Cold Mountain is this war film, drama, and basically she plays a supporting character in the role that helps Nicole Kidman's character through the winter on the mountain and, helps her through her times as her husband's off the war. And she's just phenomenal in this film. She plays this very go-at-it type of woman that helps Kidman become the woman she needs to be. to survive, you know, and just there's a great bond there in that movie, and she just plays a role like any others that she's ever played, and that's why she wins the Oscar for that film, Best Supporting Actress. So
we'll talk more about Cold Mountain very soon. All right. It is. I'm sorry. Andrew,
what's going on?
Andrew, what did you do? It's Robin's. Oh. It's Robin's turn.
My number 2 is the same one. It's Cold Mountain, and basically for the same reason Steven just listed. But I think that she stole the show from Kidman. Like, she was far more likable, relatable, and like she was just a badass. I really, really liked her. She was hilarious. And she was just like snapping chicken necks and stuff. Like, she was really cool. I liked her a lot.
All right, Andrew.
Man, you guys have stole my thunder. I'm also going Cold Mountain. Directed by the late, in my opinion, great Anthony Minghella, who directed several films, including Talented Mr. Ripley, and another one. I can't remember right now, but she is phenomenal in this film. I mean, it's the film that won her Oscar, you know, and she's a great kind of this gung-ho frontier woman character who kind of swoops in and teaches Nicole Kidman's character how to survive without her husband.
No, you're right about that, Andrew. She does play a kind of real, kind of smarmy, kind of witty, kind of like go get 'em type of character in Cold Mountain. My number 2, though, is Andrew's number 4, I believe, and that's Chicago. I'm a huge fan of musicals. I'm a huge fan of gangster films. I've never seen a musical and a gangster film combined together, unless I just am not remembering it. And so when I saw Chicago, I was like, wow, this is really interesting. You know, like Andrew said, the performances by people, and I think you forgot to mention Richard Gere. Everybody, including Renee Zellweger, are all fantastic in that film. And you know, the Oscars are kind of like it's a timely thing. It's whatever is on people's mind at the time. And you know, maybe Chicago wouldn't win today, but it was kind of different and out there, and the play was just so popular at the time that maybe that's the reason why Chicago won the Best Picture Oscar. And Renee Zellweger, I think, was nominated for that film. I think she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. But yeah, I really enjoyed Chicago. All right, now going back, what is our favorite scenes? You know, Renee has been in so many movies. Maybe your favorite scene isn't in one of your favorite movies. Maybe you don't like the movie, but you like her scene in that movie. So, Steven, what is your favorite scene starring Renee Zellweger?
Robin kind of alluded to it a second ago. The chicken head scene is fantastic. That whole scene is the first introduction that Nicole Kidman has with her character, and literally within the first, you know, she meets her within 5 minutes, she's taking one of her chickens and ripping her head off. I mean, it's fantastic. And she doesn't let her speak at all. She just runs down, you know, why she's there and that this is what I'm going to do. Just bossing her kind of around, and then just comes up. He's like, I hate these roosters. And then she comes over, picks it up, and just rips its head off. And it's fantastic. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest things she's ever done in any movie she's been in.
No, that was a good scene. All right, Robin, do you have a favorite Renee Zellweger scene?
Yeah, it's the exact same one Steven just described. Because thanks a lot. But she, like I said before, she's just so badass. Like, she just shows up and she's like, hey, I'm going to work here. This is what I'm doing. You need to just get with it. I'm going to break your chicken's neck. Like, it's hilarious. And it was much needed. Like, her comedic relief in that movie was much needed, because it's not a really happy film. So,
Hey, I'm sorry, Rob, to interrupt. I'll pick a different one just so that can be yours. My favorite scene is for me, myself, and Irene, where they're driving on the road and they come upon the cow in the road, and the cow's dead, and they think they think he tries to shoot it and kill it, and it won't die, and then Renee Zellweger has to he's like, help, and she starts kicking the cow, and it's a pretty funny scene. I like that scene too.
thank you.
All right. If you could follow that, what's your favorite Renee Zellweger scene?
Mine is Jerry Maguire. You had me at hello. I mean, it's the clip you see in every movie montage. It's the clip that you see playing all the time. It's one of those iconic film moments for at least the 90s that kind of launched her career and as well as made her a household name. But I'll go into that later.
Yeah, I mean, leave it to Andrew to steal mine again. Always steal my thunder, Andrew, every week. Yeah, I had to do the you had me at hello. I mean, it's such an iconic scene. It's just that movie. Show Me the Money is a BS scene because I don't like Cuba Gooding Jr. in that scene. And then Jerry Maguire, he's just, I don't know. I mean, this guy's got it all. Why do I care about Jerry Maguire? The character I care about the most is Renee Zellweger's character in that movie. And you had me at home. I guess when she goes with Jerry Maguire at the beginning of the movie, he has nobody to go with him, nobody to side with him, all because she's infatuated with him. And she has no. Nothing going for her. She decides to go with him. I don't know. I mean, I like Tom Cruise. It's just not one of my favorite Tom Cruise roles, but I really enjoyed her and Jerry Maguire. And You Had Me at Hello is just probably one of the AFI's greatest quotes of all time. I guarantee it's Show Me the Money. What was the other one, Steven?
You Complete Me.
You Complete Me. Yeah, I think does Jerry Maguire say that or does she say that?
No, he says that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, those are three quotes. I guarantee if you go look on AFI's 100 greatest movie quotes of all time, I guarantee all three of those are on there because they're just.
Dr. Evil says it better.
Say that again.
Dr. Evil says it better.
Really, Dr. Evil said that?
Yeah, You Complete Me to little mini Dr. Evil, mini me.
Now that you triggered my memory, I do remember that. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go to our number one. Steven, what is your number one Renee Zellweger performance or movie or whatever?
Okay, it's a movie. This one, I don't know if it's going to be on anybody's list. Maybe. It's a movie that I don't think gets enough praise. I think it gets more praise for another actress's performance in the film, Meryl Streep. But to me, this was one of Renee Zellweger's best all-around performances, and really one of my favorite of her movies in general. And it's called One True Thing. And basically, it's this drama about she plays this very determined writer who's trying, like, her father's a writer, and she really took after her father and goes to the city as trying to become her own thing. And her mom is played by Meryl Streep, who they find out has cancer. She has to come home and help take care of her. And basically it puts a strain on her career and her life. And as they go through this, she finds out her father's not the guy that she thought he was, and starts to really understand her mother more. And it's just a really just touching movie, and really great performances all around. William Hurt plays the father. It's fantastic. It's just a really one of my favorite movies by her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember that movie, Steven, but I'm going to have to go search it out just because I'm up to learn and watch new movies that I haven't seen. I don't even remember Meryl Streep being in that film.
She got nominated for that role, of course, because Meryl Streep gets nominated for everything. And it came out in 1998. So.
Yeah, that must have been when she started coming back, because she took a leave of absence from acting to raise her family for about 10 years. So I'll have to check that out. All right, Robin, what's your number one Renee Zellweger film or performance.
It's one that I don't think many people liked, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody that liked this movie though. Case 39, where she was like was she into horror movies a little bit?
Yeah, no, that was a horror movie that she was in. You're right about that. A lot of people did not like that.
I liked it, but I like creepy kid movies, and that was a really creepy kid. So I guess that is why I liked it the most. But I bought the movie, so if that tells you anything, I liked it.
Yeah, I just remember the reviews were not good at all for that.
No, they weren't. But it was pretty good. And then the kid gets in the oven and stuff. Like it's pretty good. And it was a neat story the way they presented it, because like you don't really know what's going on until you get into it, and then you're like, holy shit, this is crazy. So
that's what's great. What are you doing there, Steven?
I'm just having fun.
Okay. All right. You keep drinking your Pepsi product.
It's actually a Sprite. So
Pepsi. Oh, that's a Coke product.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Oh, you're Britney Spears. We just caught you, Britney. We caught you, Steven. Oh, you're in trouble. Oh man. All right, Andrew. What are you number one?
My number one, no surprise, Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire came out in 1996, directed by Cameron Crowe. It's a really great dramatic role for her. Like I said earlier, it's very much her breakout role. Before that, she hadn't really been in much things of note, so kind of the launch pad for her career. And it's a great performance by her. It's kind of interesting. I'm just going back and doing research. She wasn't nominated for an Oscar for that role, but I believe Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr. were.
Don't get me started on that. I told you before I didn't like either one of them two. I liked her better. So I'm glad that you had Jerry Maguire at number one, because it means something to you, Andrew.
Yeah, I really like Cameron Crowe as a director. I'm a big fan of his. Almost Famous is one of my favorites of all time, but that can be saved for another show later on.
Hey, just so you guys know, Film Club Movie Show spotlighted Almost Famous on its last episode. Go check it out. Selfless plug.
I was gonna say, look at Steven plugging away over there. No,
Nice plug.
No, Cameron Crowe's early stuff was great. He started to get into this. I like we bought a zoo a lot, but other than that, his later stuff has just been God.
Aloha.
Oh, Aloha.
Why would you bring that up?
Oh,
You gotta bring up the bad with the good, or the good with the bad.
Oh, was that garbage or what? My number one is all y'all's number two, Cold Mountain. I'm a huge fan of historical movies that take place during the Civil War. Or I love stuff that takes place in the past. And Jude Law, Nicole Kidman, Renee Zellweger, are fantastic in this film. That movie should have been the movie that should have been winning the Oscar for Best Picture one of those years, probably. But I don't know when it came out. I can't remember when it came out. Let me look on here. Let me see when that came out. But, that should have been the one that 2003. So that could have easily won one of those Oscars that you guys are talking about. That, we talk about movies that a lot of people didn't agree with the winners. But Anthony Minghella, the other film that you that you forgot about, Andrew, was The English Patient.
Yes.
This guy was on fire. He directed 3 great films in a row before his untimely death of cancer. He got some form of cancer, and he died. What a sad, sad death, because this guy was so good. His movies were so good, Anthony Minghella. But I love Cold Mountain. She's just so smarmy and so just peppy and so just kind of I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do that. And she was standing up to the bad guys in the film. Wasn't there a scene where she had a gun or a knife or something? She would put the gun up to the thing, say, "Get off our land," or something. Not Clint Eastwood. That was Clint Eastwood. But
yes, she did it before Clint Eastwood, yes.
Yeah, that's what She had something similar to that, "Get out of here,"
There was a scene where they fought off some bandits or something.
Yeah. And I mean, wow, oh God, what a beautiful movie too. You know, Cold Mountain was such a beautiful, beautiful film. Um, all right, well, that is it for the. Unless anybody has an honorable mention, does anybody have an honorable mention by any chance, Stephen or Robin or Andrew? No.
She is an uncredited character in Dazed and Confused.
Yes.
I am gonna say that that's one of her best performances that I did not mention. She is one of the girls that gets loaded into a blue truck. So you know.
Well, I had Me, Myself, and Irene, Leatherheads, Appaloosa, Cinderella Man, and Nurse Betty, which almost made my list, but it didn't make my list. If you haven't seen Nurse Betty, she is fantastic in that film. It is so funny. It is really out there. It is an out there film, but she is acting opposite like an all-star cast of people in Nurse Betty. So you should check Nurse Betty out. All right, so Stephen, where can people find you? I mean, I know it's everywhere, but other than everywhere, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me, Stephen Billings, personally on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever. Apparently, Robin knows my Snapchat. She's been Snapchatting me this whole episode. You can also find the show that I run called on Film Club Central on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and also we do like a bunch of different shows. The Film Club Movie Show, Not Another Geek Podcast. We do Traumataries. We do a bunch of stuff. Go check us out. It's awesome.
All right, Robin. If you don't want anybody to find you, we don't have to talk about where you can be found.
I'm pretty easy to find. You can find me in Film Club. I'm one of the admins. You can find me in the Crafters and Book Club and Music Club and pretty much any of the sister clubs. You can find me on Steven's shows sometimes when they let me come and play and hang out, which is not often, but sometimes they invite me.
We'll get you on soon.
Actually, my very first episode of Film Club that I watched was the anniversary episode, and you were asking the questions from the people sent in, and
Yeah.
I told Steven, I said, "Oh man, we should get her on the Top 5 Weekly because she was really good. I liked her." So,
You're right.
God, I'm glad you were able to come on. All right, Andrew, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Capzilla06. And you can find my YouTube channel, Capzilla Productions.
And you can find me at Dan Skip Allen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. I also co-host a podcast called The Best Damn Movie Show with my co-host Vinny LaSpada. Pretty much that's it for me. But I want to thank all my guests this evening for being on. And I think we're going to do remakes next week. So if you love movies out there and you want to talk about them, just message me, Dan Skip Allen, on Facebook, and we'll be glad to have you. Robin was on this week. She volunteered to be on and talk about Renee Zellweger. So we're up for new people because, I'm sick of looking at Andrew and Steven. No, I'm kidding.
Totally understand.
I love these guys. Yeah, please message me if you're interested. If you watch this and you're interested, and you have a love for movies like we do. So that is it. Until next week. Bye.